Being able to access wisdom whenever we need it, on demand, can be fundamentally life-changing in big ways and in very small ways. Take the day that I was rushing to pay a parking ticket in a mall. I'd visited my hometown, and I must admit I was feeling a little bit uncomfortable about visiting old places where you remember your young self. So I was carrying a bit of that. I was also late, and I'm heading towards the machine where you pay for your parking ticket. From a distance, I notice that there are two machines, but one is out of order. And I see that the one that is working is open. There's nobody there. So I start to walk a little faster. Suddenly on my left, very close, probably too close, is a man with a briefcase, and I look down and see his shiny shoes and his smart suit. And he comes closer, walking a little faster than I am walking, and I realize he's heading for the same pay station. I also realize he's determined to cut in front of me. My pace increases, but he almost runs and cuts in front of me just before we make it to the parking payment machine. My blood boils, I feel that familiar heat, and my thoughts are running. Such a snob, this man in his fancy shoes and his briefcase. Who is he to think he can just cut in front of me? This anger and the thoughts are just seeing him as, I'm imagining him as this wealthy man that is arrogant, probably chauvinistic. And the list and the judgment continues. Within seconds, a line forms behind, and there's at least 5 or 6, if not more people behind me. And you almost can feel the pressure. You know how people can get all beaming, staring into the back of his head, that he must now hurry up. And I'm thinking, especially since you cut in front of me, suffer a little bit. He's got his wallet, he's got the little coin ready to pay, he's put his ticket in the machine, he puts the exact coin that he needs in, but it falls all the way through, clunk. You can see him getting a little bit nervous and stressed. He glances at all the people staring back at him, he picks up the coin, he puts it back in, and it falls right through, clunk. I see him patting himself. I see him looking at his wallet. Clearly this is the coin. And part of me is like happy. Good. But then this tense feeling in my stomach, this knot, this tightness, is my way of knowing, along with any type of contracted, closed feeling, had become my way of knowing that I'm not seeing clearly, that I'm not seeing with wisdom. And be clear, this isn't a judgment on myself. This isn't me berating myself. This is just noticing. This is also me not liking this uncomfortable feeling that comes with this kind of mental hostility. After all, he's cut in front of me. That's pretty much it, right? So I take a moment and I do what I've done pretty much since a very young age, and I'm so, so glad. I take a moment to just take a conscious breath, and with this conscious breath, I am intending to tune in to deeper wisdom, to see the situation from the perspective of wisdom, my soul, my truth, my essence, not deciding what that would look like, because sometimes when I've asked for wisdom, wisdom has actually given me the clarity to know that it was important to assert, important to lay down a boundary, important to actually even confront. So I'm always available for whatever the truth feels like in that moment, and surrendered to what that could be. What this also looks like is sending my attention a little bit deeper than the spinning mind or the emotional heart or the tension in my gut, as if I'm sending a bucket into my wisdom well. And this all takes a moment, because I've practiced this and I'm used to what it feels like when that bucket hits the water, when there is an internal shift from tight to more openness. And from this openness, through the intention of how does wisdom see, all of a sudden he is not a stranger. All of a sudden, truly, there is this feeling of love and compassion as if this is my brother. And all the anger and hostility, I don't have to try to get them to go away. I don't have to reason, I don't have to talk myself out of it. I just suddenly see it differently. And I see my brother is struggling. Little sweat forming on his brow, shaking in his hand, a bit of paleness. This moment, for whatever reason, is really stressful, clearly. So it's the most natural thing in the world. I open my purse, I hand him a coin, a bigger coin than the one he has, for more money. He looks at me a little confused, but also you could tell he doesn't even hesitate. And he puts the coin in, and it works, and you hear the little zzz, whatever, the sound of the printing, and he gets the ticket out, and it does issue him a small amount of change, which he wants to offer back to me, and apologizes that he doesn't have the full amount to give back to me. And I just say, no, don't worry, and I don't take his small coin, and he says, thank you so much, and he walks away. And it's now my turn, so I step forward and I see him rushing out, and then I see him pause, and he turns around and he walks back and he looks me in the eye and he says, you know what, that whole experience was worth it just to meet someone like you. And I say, please don't worry, no problem. And then off he goes, and I continue to pay. I had a tinge of guilt, but the guilt was even washed away by this new seeing. And I'm so grateful that being able to access my wisdom well in these ordinary ways, my whole life, will probably tastes of it in the early years, became much stronger in my late teens, then early 20s, and then very strong in my 30s. And now it's a way of life. And I'm so grateful because wisdom has showed me time and time again that I've been wrong about everything. I was wrong about the man with the shiny shoes. I've been wrong about pretty much everything, from money to career, to relationships, to body image, to the idea of purpose. And wisdom has helped me to just make that switch, sometimes in a moment as ordinary as paying for a parking ticket, other times in deep, intense decision-making, even trauma. But I know that I owe everything to just being able to do this. And in case you're wondering if I am somehow different or special, absolutely not. I believe that we can all build our wisdom wells. And one of the gifts of having worked with so many people over the decades, coaching, guiding, mentoring, one of the gifts, besides seeing what happens when people learn to access their own inner wisdom, their own inner guidance, is realizing that beneath all the thousands and thousands of wells that are beautiful celebrations of our unique expression, that underneath they can be traced back to the same water. That wisdom's ultimate gift is to show us that behind every pair of eyes, if we look deep enough, we see the self looking back. And that changes everything, doesn't it?